Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. We are delighted to be back here one more Friday afternoon for our lunch and learn session. Yes. And today, this is a topic that is relevant to every person. This is a relevant topic that we're talking about here today. Happiness. Mm. Who does not want to be happy? Tell me of a person that does not want to be happy. Building true happiness within. Building true happiness within. It was Denis Waitley who said happiness cannot be traveled to. It cannot be owned. It cannot be earned. It cannot be worn or consumed, because happiness is a spiritual experience of living every minute with grace and with gratitude. I love that expression of happiness. And as we start this evening, I am with my co host, Dr. Sigfred Howell. Dr. Howell is a life, happiness, and relationship consultant and coach. He's also a master life coach. He is also a corporate trainer, and he works with organizations to help them to build that relationship. He works with couples, he works with families. So if you are thinking of someone who is able to help you to cement those relationships in your life, you have that person right here in the form of Dr. Sigfred Howell. And as usual, I'm yours truly, Dr. Janice Brooks, a life strategist, a part of the Maxwell team of coaches, trainers, and speakers. I am also a licensed counselor, helping you to build your life on a firm foundation. What I do, I build people and help to change lives. That is it in a nutshell. So we're talking about happiness. Dr. Howell, you are the relationship expert, and happiness is a framework of relationships. How would you define happiness?
To me, happiness is the feeling of contentment that's within you. When you're grateful for who you are, and what you're doing. And in the saying of Mahatma Gandhi, he says that happiness is when your thoughts, your actions, and your way of doing things line up. And so whenever there's a disconnect between what we're thinking and what we're doing, what we're thinking and what we're saying, there's going to be a decrease in our level of happiness. So for me, happiness is being authentic, being true to yourself, being forthright with your innermost thoughts. And if you don't have a good correlation between what you're saying, what you're doing, and what you're thinking, working on it consistently to become better at putting them in harmony.
Wow, that's an excellent way to put it, Dr. Howell. And let me just add to that, because when I think about happiness in its true sense, I also believe that happiness is a state of mind or some kind of emotional response, or it is something that can come and it is something that can go. So when I looked at the depth of happiness, I say that happiness can be both fleeting and it can be sustained, dependent on the circumstances that we find ourselves in. And I say this because, let me give an example. When good things happen to us at a specific time or moment, or we get, we have a life accomplishment or things like that happen, then we say, oh wow, I'm happy. Then sometimes in the split of a moment, the same person who was so happy half an hour before is now unhappy because there is another event that changes that state of happiness into a state of sadness. And in Jamaica, in our country, we would say sometimes people get unhappy because nothing now happened, nothing going on for them to become happy. And so we have to be very careful how we manage happiness, because happiness is something that has to be carefully managed in order to be sustained. And that is how I want to wrap up that part of it about happiness. But Dr. Howell, as we talk more about this, happiness and how subjective happiness can actually be, how can one really leverage their strengths and their weaknesses to increase personal happiness? Is there any way that people can leverage that to increase their personal happiness?
Well, one of the things that I said earlier is that you have to be authentic to yourself. And part of being authentic to yourself is living your purpose. And so anytime your life and your when your actions and your purpose don't line up, when your life and your purpose for which you were born are not aligned, there's going to be limited happiness. Now, your purpose comes with certain strengths and certain abilities and certain gifts. God gives each one of us at least one gift or talent that will allow us to fulfill our purpose. So when you are using your gifts to fulfill your purpose, you're going to have a certain level of happiness. Now, I want to add to what we said earlier. Happiness has to be intrinsic. It has to come from within. That example that you gave, that was a person who was motivated by extrinsic factors. And so if you allow certain events, certain actions to cause you happiness, when they don't happen, then you become unhappy. Research has shown that people get unhappy and even depressed when their social media does not ding, when their phone does not ding, that someone is either responding or commenting, liking or loving what they're saying, doing, or thinking, then they experience a certain level of unhappiness. Well, if you go back to the Bible says, be happy in all things. Now, that is a weird concept. What does that mean to be happy in all things? So I think about it from this perspective. You got to be good. You have to be grateful when things are going good, but you also have to be grateful when things are going bad. Because when things are going bad, you have an ability to set back, analyze, adapt, and move forward. So it's a period of growth. Jim Rohn calls it the winter period. Everybody goes through winter at some point in time. But the good thing about seasons is after you go through your winter, spring is going to come. And he calls it a season of growth. And so you have to take what you learn from the hardships and turn them into a way to grow. But with that growth, you will have your talent, your skills, and all of those things that you can use to make you feel better. But you can also use relationships to help boost you, to help motivate you, and to help guide you, or to even help improve you to become a better person. You can have people to support you. So part of your personality might be to help people, but in turn, you get helped when you need help. And so reframe those weaknesses into opportunities for growth, but have your support team around you. I call them the HQP, your high quality people around you, so that they can motivate you and even mentor you and give you a chance to be the best version of yourself.
I totally agree with that, Dr. Howell. And I am saying that what you feed, what you focus on will expand. So when we think about the strengths and the weaknesses, if you focus on the weaknesses, then that's what's going to expand. And if we focus on the strengths, then that's what's going to expand. And so in relation to happiness, we have to determine what we focus on. And I'm saying this because, as I said before, even though happiness is something that we should try to maintain from an inner point that we're talking about, inner happiness. Even though happiness is something that we should try to maintain internally and hold it there, we can't deny the fact that happiness is connected to outward, most of the times, to outward conditions or circumstances. And so, as we say this, we have to ensure that we leverage our strength, because those strengths help us to accomplish the things in life that makes us happy, that result in our happiness. So when we leverage those strengths, when we're able to win at a game, when we're able to have that good relationship with our family and friends, when we're able to feel fulfilled in our jobs because we're doing so well, when we're able to encourage someone because that's our strength, when we're here on this media for this lunch and learn because we want to help someone else, we are happy about it. And someone else gets something from it too, that they are happy because we are leveraging that strength to make ourselves feel fulfilled and happy. And someone else can go ahead and use what we have given them to also make them leverage what they have and make themselves happy. So when we think about this also, Dr. Howell, I'm also thinking, and this brings me to my next question. I'm also thinking, how does our values and the philosophies that we have influence our pursuit of a good or rewarding life? How does that connect with our happiness?
I'm really glad you asked that question. My father is a very outgoing person, and his tactic for dealing with people is to, some people call it picking, but he's just, stirring up the waters a little. But and my wife has told me that I'm somewhat of a picker as well. And some people see it as bullying. So in this country, I cannot do a lot of picking because people take it the wrong way. But I remember one day in high school, I was walking down the hallway and I saw a girl, and she was at her locker and she was looking down and out. And something told me to pick with her. So I say, "How you doing? Can I get a smile?" And she was like, "Not today." And I'm like, "Why not? Can I please get a smile? It'll be nice if I got a smile." And so we went back and forth for a minute. So she finally smiled. And I said, "Listen, you have a good day. I don't know what you're going through, but I hope you get through it and have a good day. And hopefully I get to see you smile tomorrow." Do you know, 6 months went by, graduation happened, and she came back to my classroom, I think the day after graduation. And she said to me, "I don't know if you remember me, but I was in the hallway and you came up to me and you were picking with me, asking me to smile. And I said I didn't feel like it, but you would not stop. You showed me that you cared." She said, "I had told myself that if no one spoke to me today, I was going to go home and kill myself. But because you spoke to me, I am here and I graduated today." And so a lot of times when you refuse to use your talents, gifts, and abilities to build relationships and to help people, you may be causing people to die that you don't know about. You could be causing people to be depressed that you don't know about. You could be causing people to get hurt that you don't know about. And so to me, it's intrinsic because I feel driven to talk to people. And if God tells me to talk to someone, I'm going to use my gift of talking and interacting with people to see what can happen. And you don't even know what the seeds that you're planting might turn into. A lot of times, because we want the extrinsic, we expect to see the growth today, the growth tomorrow. We expect somebody to stand up and say, oh, Dr. Howell helped me last week, and because of him, I'm this and that. No, sometimes your job is just to plant the seed, but we want to reap the benefits. That may not be your job. And so if we learn that it is intrinsic and not be reliant, we all start out on extrinsic abilities, but we have to get to the point where we are intrinsically motivated. Because once we are driven by our internal desire to give service and value to others, we're not motivated by what's around us. So in happy times, we can give thanks. And in the bad times, we can give thanks because we're not driven by the external.
Wow. That is excellent, Dr. Howell. I love the part that you talk about um, when we do our part, and how you just encourage that person. You got that person to smile, and that one smile that you got that person to do saved that person's life. As a matter of fact, it saved that person's life. And I told a story last week that is so similar to yours. How when I worked in one of the banking institution, there was a young lady. She used to be at work early every morning, but she had such an unhappy face. And every morning, knowing me, I go in, good morning, how are you doing today? Like I am just telling her good morning every morning. And she didn't answer me. Most of the time, she didn't answer me. One morning, I asked her, why don't you answer me? She said that's not in her job description. And, I kept at it. Day after day, I kept at it, asking her, telling her good morning. Until one day, she just came to me and she started to talk. And that lady poured out so much of the challenges that she was having that caused her to be unhappy. Mm-hmm. And so I like that, because if you didn't continue to ask her to smile, then that smile wouldn't come. If I didn't kept up telling her good morning, then that wouldn't happen. So this is where we really find the root to what we call happiness within. Mm-hmm. Helping people to break that thing that is allowing them to be uneasy, to not be able to express something that is deep within. Let's welcome Dr. Marcia to our session today. Dr. Marcia, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. We are actually talking about this thing about happiness, which is just building true happiness and building it from within, because we know that things around us are so fleeting. And when we base our happiness on the things and the circumstances around us, then we realize that we are sometimes so disappointed and discouraged. People are so disappointed and discouraged. Dr. Marcia, I want you to add your voice to that question that we asked earlier, that says, how can people really leverage their strengths and their weaknesses to increase their personal happiness?
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for being so late. I got held up. But if we talk about leveraging our happiness, we first have to define leveraging our strengths and weaknesses. We first would want to define our success matrix and the rules that we would be applying to ourselves to get that going. And then we would now have to look at our strengths. What are my strengths? And how can I use my strengths to build me? So how can I align my strengths to my passions and my goals? How do I look at my achievements? Do I compare myself with others? And if you can answer those questions, then you will be able to identify that I am good at singing. I am very good at encouraging others. I am excellent at dealing with setbacks. I am very resilient in the crisis. It doesn't get me nervous. It doesn't make me want to give up. It makes me want to solve the problem and attack it with all my force. So if you know all of that, then you are now able to leverage that to lead towards contentment and peace and calm. because it would mean that you are happy when you are able to solve your problems. You are happy when you are able to stand firm and have a testimony or a story to tell of your overcoming. It means that you see setbacks as an opportunity and your failures and mistakes as a learning tool. And so that is how you would leverage, because it now exposes you to see how you can improve yourself and become a better version. And that determination makes you gradually become so contented that you have no choice but being happy. But if you are one of those who complain, and you're one of those who constantly find the bad in everything, if you're one of those who constantly find the bad lining in every situation, if you always look forward to say this is likely to happen, so you look at the worst that can happen at all times, if you walk expecting that life will always throw you down and that there is nothing that you can achieve without the stress, then you are actually leveraging your weakness against you and becoming your worst enemy. And so those are the ways in which you can leverage or not leverage your strengths and weaknesses. What you need to do is be a very realistic enthusiast and not an idealistic optimist, because the idealistic optimist sees the good in every single thing and do not learn from anything, because there is such a high flown superficial way of looking at things that the Bible does not count. The Bible says life is made up of everything, and in everything you are to give thanks. However, he's saying that you, if you have faith as small of a mustard seed, when your mountain comes, you can say to the mountain, be removed. And that is the deal of a realistic enthusiast as against an idealistic optimist. So you find solutions, and in those solutions, because they're aligned to your goals and your passions, because you're being very realistic, because you are accepting the things that you cannot change and you are doing the things that you can change, there is some peace and contentment and accomplishment and satisfaction that you have done your best and your best is good enough. And so there is happiness, because your happiness is not relative to your wealth, your achievements, or anything. It is the feeling that you have gotten that you have done everything within your power to change what is there, and the rest is left to God.
Some powerful points there, Dr. Marcia. Thank you so much. The happiness will not be relative when you place yourself in the right direction and on the right path. Dr. Howell spoke earlier about the values and how our values influence our pursuit of good and rewarding life. And while he was talking, I was really thinking, because people actually will go either after what they desire, and I'm going to say what they want, or what they need in life. And sometimes these things that they desire, they want, they need in life, they want in life, has nothing to do with their happiness. For example, persons may go after money and they already have money, but because man has this, human being has this insatiable desire where nothing is satisfied or satisfactory to them. The more we have a song in Jamaican, I don't remember who sing it, where it says, the more them get it, the more them want it. You understand me? And so human have this tendency, for the more they get, the more they want. Sometimes these things have nothing to do with their happiness. And so I like the question, because when you are able to connect your values, your beliefs with your happiness, then you are on the right side. What do you value most in life? What are your beliefs? And when you are led by those, and those are connected to your happiness, then you are on the right side. And I want to also say this, that we have to be careful as people, human beings, how we differentiate between our needs and our wants. And I come back to the Bible, because the Bible says I will supply all of your needs according to my riches in glory by Christ Jesus. He never said, I'm going to supply your wants. Because people want everything that they see when they don't even need it. And I believe the needs are the things that are critical to you living a good and a healthy life. And so we have to differentiate, because if we don't differentiate those things, we are going to always be chasing things. And happiness is going to be out there crying, take me. But you are so after the next thing, that happiness misses you. Dr. Marcia, add to that about the values, how you can really um, allow your values to influence your pursuit of the good in life.
We want to talk about values in relation to realistic goals, because sometimes what we value have been pushed on us based on our culture, our upbringing, and also our concepts of ourselves. There are some persons who value hard work, and there are some persons who derive a great deal of satisfaction and happiness from hard work and effort, because that's what they have been taught to value. But there are some persons who get a lot of joy and happiness from just sitting and expecting handouts, because that is what they value. They do not value hard work and effort. They believe that they are not to work hard. And some of these things happen where there are some women who marry to men and are never contented and happy, no matter how caring, how giving, how supportive this man is, because this man is poor. Because they do not value that. What they value is a rich man who allows them to be easy, go to the hairdresser every day, go out with friends, take them out for dinner, and surprises them, and live in this nice little superficial cocoon that they have built for themselves. So that is how the value is, that they attach now what they value to their happiness. And then they many times divorces occur and they move on to someone who they think is richer and can meet those superficial needs, as against someone who values companionship and so is very happy if their partner spends a lot of time with them and they do very simple things together, like sitting and watching the sun go down, eating fruits together, those types of things, and are not very particular about you taking me to on vacation every other month. And so their happiness is limited to that temporal value that does not is not based on everlasting worth and authentic self discovery and disclosure and acceptance of you with your strengths and weaknesses. And I just use that as an example. But look at someone now who values money. Money is everything. And they say to you, your money is my money, but my money is mine. So your money becomes our money, but my money is mine. So they are so selfish, and their value is placed on what they can always get and not on what they can give. And so no matter what you give them, even if you take out your heart, they are never satisfied. They can never be happy, because you can never give them enough, because they really don't know what they want, because they value nothing at all. And then there is persons who value others as much as they value themselves. And so you find that those persons, you will always feel comfortable, contented, and happy around them, because they always consider the next person the way they consider themselves. And that, when it is reciprocated, there is mutual understanding, mutual respect, mutual benefit, teamwork. There is also a consideration that somebody has your back, and there is this peace that comes and this calm that comes, that know that whatever happens, whether it is in your workplace, in your home, or in the community, there is a support system out there for you. You can always rely on them in your good days and in your bad days, and that gives you some amount of contentment that makes you happy, knowing that you are not alone. It gives you a sense of belonging. It develops trust. It makes you connect in more meaningful and purposeful relationships, and it makes you continue to give unreservedly from the goodness of your heart, from your happiness that is in your heart, because this happiness becomes so contagious that you look for the best in people, in life, in your context. You reach for the best, and you can always handle what is not so complimentary.
Some powerful notes here dropping in this room today. We are talking about building true happiness within, building true happiness within. And if you want to build true happiness within, there are some things that you have to disassociate yourself from. And there are some things that you have to, we would say, cut your eye pass.
And some people too. And some people
And
too.
some people too. We have to do that. Dr. Howell, I'm back over to you because we're almost at the end. I mean, we have passed our time, but let's talk a little bit just how things like setbacks and stress and adversity can have serious bearing and on cultivating and maintaining happiness.
For me to address that, let me go back to something that means a lot to me. I heard Jim Rohn say yesterday, it was 2 days ago, he said he used to tell people, hey, I'm going to look out for you and you look out for me. And he said it never really worked out in his favor because he was always giving more than he was getting. So he developed a new philosophy which stated something, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, I will work on me so I can help you. And I want you to work on you so you can help me. So it emphasized working on building up self so you could add value to each other. And one of the reasons why I'm saying that is because if you look at certain people like to compare themselves to others. And in the state right now, we have a lot of suicide going on with teens and people in their 20s. And it's because they're seeing all these multimillionaires at teenage years and in their early 20s. And they can't get that because social media has shown so many people being successful, but they don't show the backstory. So you just see them after they blow up and then they're like, yeah, it was easy, but it really wasn't that easy for them. And so they forget that you need to focus on who you were yesterday and compare yourself to who you were yesterday and not focus on the people that are in front of you on social media today. So if you look at people who have become celebrities, some celebrities can take it and roll with the punches. They don't mind not going to the mall, but some people catch a hissy fit because they can't go out anymore without people want to take pictures, without people want to autograph, paparazzi all over them taking pictures. Well, that was part of what came with being a celebrity. But you just want the glitz and the glam part of it, but you don't want the humanitarian part of it where you have to be for the people who said, hey, I went to all your concerts. I want to take a picture with you. And yes, they do have some right to privacy and anonymity and all that stuff. However, when you put yourself out there in the limelight, there's certain things that go with it. So if you became a celebrity just for the money and not because you wanted to have a platform to help people, and there are a lot of celebrities that once they get really established, they go after diabetes, breast cancer, and they're the spokesperson for a lot of diseases and a lot of injustices for the world. So they're using their money, their celebrity status to help others. So they're going towards their purpose. But if you just got it so you can get money, then you're not going to be happy and content with what comes after that. And so your setbacks are going to be people all over you. Your setbacks are going to be, oh man, people, all my family members want to get some of my money. Now you start to become paranoid because you don't want to share. And so to me, as I always go back to, you have to be in alignment with your purpose. Anything you do must be aligned with your purpose, or you will never, ever get happiness. We have noticed recently in today's day and age that celebrities are now retiring from making movies. because they want to go back to being ordinary people because they don't want people all up in their grill. We never heard about that 20, 30 years ago. You retired from making movies and retired from singing to just go live a normal life to go raise your kids. And so people are jumping into things to get money and then jumping out because they realize that happiness is not there. Or when the setbacks or some of the negative parts of that particular pursuit hits them across their head, now all of a sudden they want to get out of it. And so I say, look at your adversities and look at your challenges as opportunities for growth. Learn to cope with these strategies. Learn to cope with these adversities by finding strategies that can help you out. Um, High quality people again, surrounded by you to make sure that you have the support team needed in order to maintain a level of self growth so that you can maintain your happiness. Because without self growth, you're not going to have happiness, and you cannot have self growth without a little bit of tension, discomfort, and adversity. So you have to be able to embrace the negative times that come so that you can be stretched into a better person.
Wow. Wow. Let me tell you, this topic has so much in it. We would take a whole week to be pulling forth everything that we need to pull from this topic, because you have said so much, Dr. Howell, when you started with your first, I don't know if it was a quote or a saying from Jim Rohn. When we think about that, the direct proportion of what you get from the other person would be in direct proportion of how they grow in order to give back to you. And so we many times we tend to depend on people and places for our happiness, but we can't. Some person will say, if I'm not with this person, I don't feel happy, or if I'm not that place, we don't feel happy. But those are fleeting aspects of happiness, and happiness is something that we have to directly manage. And why do so many people come under stress and are able to not handle setbacks and adversity in a good way? Because people have laid all of their eggs in one basket. And when I say this, I mean people. There are many people who believe that I must always be happy. God never tell you so. God didn't tell you that you're always going to be happy. So you have to be able to balance and manage and maintain happiness. Otherwise, when today something happens, or when today you don't feel up and bouncing and you're not happy, your life is not over. It's managing that level at where you are point in time, managing that adversity, managing that stress, managing that downhill situation, so that you are able to cope. And that is why my final sentence, many people go to illegal drugs and other things because they are not able to manage that level of happiness. Because sometimes it's going to be up here high, another time it's going to be a lower. But when you're able to manage it, you don't have to turn to other things or other people or other places to make you happy. Dr. Marcia.
How we deal with setbacks and adversity for me and stress is very, very important. And it has crucial relations and connections with your happiness. Because, for example, in my mind, resilience, it cannot be bought in any shop. If that is the case, all of us would be resilient. It cannot be gotten from mixing drink and having a particular type of drink that gives us strength and vitality. It cannot come from exercise. It comes from stress. It comes from setbacks. It comes from adversity, and how we bounce back from these adversities, and how we accept what has happened and not live and blame and shame and accuse ourselves and others. The victim mentality that a lot of us have, that takes away from our happiness, was never given to us by God. God did not create us to be depressed and frustrated and helpless and hopeless. What we need to do is to develop coping mechanisms, which for me has its highest foundation is in being honest with ourselves Because sometimes when our stress is common and adversity and so on, we tend to want to hang on to those things as a cloak or as an excuse to remain where we are. But if we are able to just accept that life comes with all sorts of different things and with different colors and different experiences, and what we do not expect, betrayal, abuse, people being dishonest to us, all of that, persons who are honest, persons who are supportive, persons who are very committed and loyal to us, life comes with all of those persons. And when we feel that life must only have one set of things, and there must be just one set of footprints in the sand, and it must lead to my happiness, it means that I am not self-aware enough, I'm not connected enough, I'm not realistic enough, I am not conscious enough. My vibrations are mixed up, because once it is clear, we develop those coping mechanisms, because once you are not dead, you have to live unless you take your life. How you live is important, and so you have to develop the skills and the talents and the circle around you and the environment that makes you move on confidently, knowing that all things work together for your good. You also have to develop a habit of changing your mindset. All things are possible if you believe, and whatever experience God takes you through, to He will take you through. So your mindset is a very important tool when you are having your stress and your distress. Having good and supportive, realistic and practical people around you is also important. And you must also be able to regulate your emotions so that you stop reacting to your stress and to your adversity and start responding.
Wow.
Responding with facts and not emotions. That's it for me.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, I know we have to finish here now, and we have to go to our final words. But I do see Janet drop in the chat there, and that's such a vital point, Miss Janet, because happiness is an emotion that is sometimes, and I want to put sometimes in your comment there, derived from, as we said before in the early part of our program, that it is derived from conditions around us and things are happening, and how in Jamaica we would say if nothing not happening you're not happy and things like that. But this joy is a total different aspect. This joy is a total different topic, because this joy is something that is deposited within us, and nobody can take that away from you. If you want to give it away, that's your problem, but nobody can take away your joy. So it's a different kind of thing from the happiness, which is many times based on circumstances or situations. My final comment, and then I'm going to go around the room for the final comment. My final comment today, and I'm always going to hammer away on this: watch your state of mind. Watch your state of mind, because just as negative things affect you negatively, so positive things will impact your happiness. Watch your state of mind. Watch the things that you think about. Watch the things that you watch. Watch the things that you do. Watch that state of mind. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Because out of the heart flows every issues that occur in this life. So, my final words again: make sure that you watch your state of mind, because that is where happiness comes from. Comes from your state of mind, and it flows into that inner being. Dr. Howell, your final comment.
I'm gonna give a quick story and then give a final comment. They did research and they found that people who won the lottery, millions of dollars in lottery, and people who had become paraplegics had the same level of happiness between 2 to 5 years after the incident. And so your level of happiness is not based on things that happen that are good or things that happen that are bad. We have what is called a normal baseline. And like Dr. Janice was saying, if you look at your gratitude and if you look at things in your life to be thankful for, you can raise your level of gratitude. You don't need to win the lottery to be happy, because that's going to go up for a while, then it's going to come back down to normal. And even when bad things happen to you, you might go down a little bit, but you're going to come back up to normal. And so what you need to do is not focus on getting good things all the time. Focus on raising your normal. How do you focus on raising your normal? By being grateful, by surrounding yourself with happy people. But to surround yourself with happy people, you must first attract happiness, which means you have to start the process of raising your level of happiness. So you have to be intentional to looking for things to be happy about. And then eventually that will become your normal. So if you want to be happy, raise your baseline of happiness by practicing gratitude.
Absolutely. Wow. That's a PowerPoint to take home. Dr. Marcia, what's your final comment for today?
My final comment would have to be that true happiness is not dependent on external circumstances. It's a deep inner sense of contentment for me, and purpose and security, knowing who you are, why you are, and whose you are. And I go right back there because there is a song that says Joy, joy in the Holy Ghost. Don't let nobody steal your joy. And so no matter what happens, if you are confident and are sure about who you are and why you are and whose you are, then there is nothing whatsoever that can take away your inner happiness, because it is not dependent on external values. It is a sense of security and contentment that you have in yourself because of what you know about yourself and about in whom you have belief.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, here you have it. We sat on this lunch and learn for the last almost 50 minutes, 47 minutes, talking about this topic, building that inner happiness. And there were so many points that came out. And I hope that you take away something from here today so that you can live your life in a state that is valuable to you. And that state should be one of joy and happiness. A state where you are not always depressed and hopeless and stressed and in anxiety, because this is a managed emotion. This is a managed emotion, and only you can manage it for yourself. It's right up here. You have to manage that emotion from your thoughts. Thank you so much again for joining us. I'm yours truly, Dr. Janice Brooks, a life strategist, leadership consultant and coach, and a licensed counselor. Dr. Siegfried Howell, life, happiness, and relationship consultant and coach, and a master life coach. Dr. Marcia Thomas, she is a internationally certified strategic leadership coach, and she also specifically does the Christian track. She is a Christian life consultant and coach. We are all corporate trainers, and we are focused on helping people to change their lives. You see my backdrop there, it says building people and changing lives. That is our focus, building people and changing lives. We thank you so much for joining us today for another Lunch and Learn. Join us again on Tuesday, and please do not forget, on November 7th at 8 p.m., the results are out. We will be in the Zoom room, and we'll be talking about preparing for your next. Preparation needs expectation. What's your next? We prepare for what we expect. So join us. Look at all the medias, and the flyers are all over the place. Register early because the number is limited. We want you to be there. There's a special place in there for you because you need to know how to make that preparation for your next. Thank you so much again for joining us, and God bless you. And we want you to have a wonderful rest of your weekend and week. God bless you.
Bye bye, everyone.